Welcome to HOA Karen Expose. Like, comment your story, and subscribe for daily neighborhood drama. The summer sun was shining, birds chirped in the trees, and the smell of sizzling burgers and smoky ribs filled the air. It was a perfect weekend in the neighborhood. Families gathered in their backyards, kids laughing, and grills fired up everywhere. But not for long. One morning, an official letter landed in every mailbox. It was from the HOA president, Karen. The message was clear. Effective immediately, all outdoor grills are banned in the community. No exceptions. The reason? According to Karen, the grills posed a significant fire hazard and risk to the safety of all residents. She cited vague insurance concerns and claimed the ban was for everyone's protection. Naturally, residents were shocked. Grilling was a beloved tradition in the neighborhood, a way to connect, celebrate, and enjoy summer. Suddenly, their weekends felt threatened. Among the residents was Mark, a volunteer firefighter and lifelong grill master. Mark had been serving his community for over 10 years, teaching fire safety, responding to emergencies, and even running local fire prevention workshops. For Mark, Karen's blanket ban didn't just seem harsh, it felt unnecessary. He knew grilling wasn't inherently dangerous if done responsibly. He'd seen plenty of safe backyard cookouts and knew how to prevent accidents. So Mark did what any reasonable neighbor would do. He reached out to Karen. He sent a polite letter explaining his background, offering to educate the HOA board about proper grilling safety. He suggested clear rules for safe grill use instead of an outright ban. But Karen didn't respond. Days turned into weeks. Grills quietly disappeared. And then, the warnings started. Mark received a notice, a $250 fine for violating HOA fire safety regulations by using his grill. He wasn't alone. Several neighbors got the same letters. Some stopped grilling out of fear. Others quietly ignored the fines. But Mark decided this wasn't right. He knew the ban wasn't based on facts, but on fear and control. And he was ready to stand up, not just for himself, but for everyone who loved their backyard cookouts. Little did Karen know, Mark wasn't just a volunteer firefighter. He was prepared to take this fight all the way. Karen wasn't ready to back down. When Mark received his fine, he calmly replied with a detailed letter explaining his expertise in fire safety. He attached certifications and references to local fire codes that supported responsible grilling. He even offered to hold a community workshop to teach safe practices. But Karen ignored it all. Instead, she doubled down. The HOA board, egged on by Karen, started sending more threatening letters. Fines increased to $500 per violation. Notices were posted on community bulletin boards warning residents that non-compliance will lead to legal action. Mark's neighbors began feeling the pressure. Some stopped grilling altogether, afraid of the mounting penalties. Others were frustrated and wanted to fight but didn't know how. Mark became the unofficial spokesperson for the residents who wanted their grills back. He gathered support, organizing meetings to discuss the HOA's actions. More neighbors joined his cause, and complaints against Karen and the HOA's harsh rules poured in. Still, Karen pushed forward. One morning, Mark found a lawsuit notice waiting at his door. The HOA was suing him for willful violation of safety regulations and demanding hefty damages for endangering the community. Mark wasn't shocked. He had done his homework. The HOA's rules were vague at best, and the local fire code actually allowed outdoor grilling with common-sense safety measures. Mark prepared to fight back. He consulted a lawyer friend, gathered evidence, and filed a counter-complaint challenging the HOA's ban as unreasonable and unlawful. The stage was set for a showdown. When the case finally went to court, the tension was thick. The judge listened carefully as Karen's lawyer argued that the HOA's grill ban was necessary to protect residents from fire risks. They painted Mark as reckless, ignoring the safety warnings and putting the whole neighborhood in danger. But then it was Mark's turn. He spoke calmly and confidently. He explained his experience as a volunteer firefighter, how he'd responded to real fire emergencies and taught fire safety for years. He described how outdoor grilling, when done with basic precautions, was safe and even encouraged by fire departments nationwide. Mark presented evidence, fire codes from the city, expert testimonies, and his own safety workshops. He showed that the HOA's ban was not only unnecessary but also violated residents' rights to enjoy their property. The judge asked tough questions about the HOA's rules. Where was the clear evidence that grills were dangerous? Why hadn't the HOA consulted fire safety experts before imposing such a strict ban? Why did Karen ignore offers to educate the board? The answers weren't there. Slowly, the courtroom shifted. The judge ruled in Mark's favor. The HOA's ban was struck down as overreaching and unjust. Karen's attempt to punish a responsible resident backfired spectacularly. But that wasn't all. The court ordered the HOA to pay Mark's legal fees and to revise their policies to allow grilling with reasonable safety rules. Karen was publicly reprimanded for misusing her authority. Word spread quickly through the neighborhood. Mark's victory wasn't just a win for him. It was a win for every resident who wanted to enjoy simple pleasures without unfair restrictions. It reminded everyone that power should be used fairly and with respect for the community. And Karen. She lost her grip on the HOA and her reputation took a hit. The lesson was clear. Don't mess with a firefighter who knows his way around both flames and the law. After the court ruling, the neighborhood buzzed with relief and excitement. People who had quietly stopped grilling or nervously hid their barbecues were now firing up their grills again, enjoying backyard cookouts without fear of fines or warnings. Mark's victory wasn't just about one man. It was a win for everyone who valued their freedom to enjoy simple, everyday pleasures. At the next HOA meeting, the atmosphere was completely different. Gone was the tense, rule-heavy tone that Karen had brought. Instead, residents openly shared their experiences and ideas on how to create fair, reasonable guidelines that balanced safety with enjoyment. Mark was invited to speak and gladly shared his knowledge about fire safety and responsible grilling. The board quickly agreed to scrap the overly harsh ban and replace it with clear rules, like keeping grills a safe distance from structures, having fire extinguishers nearby, and following local fire codes. These rules made sense and gave everyone peace of mind. Karen's reputation took a hit. Many neighbors quietly distanced themselves from her, disappointed by her stubbornness and heavy-handed approach. Eventually, she stepped down from her HOA role, realizing that her tactics had backfired. But the community was stronger for it. Neighbors became more engaged, willing to speak up when rules didn't make sense or felt unfair. A culture of respect and open communication replaced the old atmosphere of fear and strict enforcement. And as for Mark, he didn't seek the spotlight, but his calm, steady stand inspired many. His willingness to stand up, not just for himself, but for the whole neighborhood, made him a quiet hero. Backyards filled with laughter and the smell of grilled food again. The summer nights were warm, friendly, and full of life. The lesson was clear. No one should be silenced or punished for enjoying their own home, especially when safety and respect are at the heart of the community.